Let's talk straight about manipulation. Alright, let's get right down to it. My name is Manyazawal Mengesha, and today we're talking about something that can poison the well in any relationship you have, be it with your partner, your family, or even your friends. I'm talking about manipulation. Now, what is that really? It's when someone tries to control you or the situation by using sneaky, underhanded psychological tactics. They're trying to get you to do something you wouldn't normally do or think something that just ain't true, all for their own benefit. It's a power play, plain and simple. These tactics aren't always big, dramatic moments like you see in the movies. No, most of the time they're subtle. They're quiet. They can be a look, a phrase, or even silence. It's a slow drip that can erode your self-esteem, your confidence, and your sense of reality. You start questioning yourself, feeling confused, and wondering if you're the one who's crazy. The impact of this kind of emotional game playing can be devastating, turning what should be a supportive and loving relationship into a source of constant stress and anxiety. It's time to pull back the curtain and see these behaviors for what they are. You deserve to be in relationships that are built on a foundation of honesty and respect. You've got to be able to spot the red flags so you can protect your own emotional well-being. It's not about being suspicious of everyone. It's about being smart and aware. It's about empowering yourself with knowledge. Today, we're breaking down 4 common manipulation tactics you might encounter and how they work. We're going to give you the playbook so you can recognize the game and decide you're not playing anymore. Let's get started. Let's start with a big one, a term you've probably heard thrown around a lot lately: gaslighting. This isn't just a disagreement. This isn't a simple misunderstanding. Gaslighting is a malicious, insidious form of psychological manipulation where someone deliberately makes you question your own perceptions, your memories, and even your sanity. It's a calculated effort to destabilize you, to make you feel like you can't trust your own mind. When you can't trust yourself, who do you end up trusting? The manipulator. That's the whole point. The term itself comes from a 1938 play called Gaslight, which was later turned into a famous movie. In the story, a husband systematically manipulates his wife into believing she's going insane. He secretly dims the gas lights in their home, but then denies that the lights are flickering when she points it out. He tells her it's all in her head. Over time, she starts to believe him. She starts to think she's losing her mind, and he gains complete control over her. It's a chilling story, but it perfectly illustrates the goal of this tactic. So, how does this play out in real life? Let me give you an example. Imagine you and your partner are at the beach. You clearly remember them saying, "I'm so glad we came here. This was a great idea." You felt happy, connected. But a week later, during an argument, you bring up that happy memory and they look at you with a blank stare. They say, "What are you talking about? I never said that. In fact, I was miserable the whole time. You're just making things up again." Suddenly, your reality is shaken. You were so sure. Was it a dream? Did you mishear? They're so convincing, so certain. They might even add a little jab like, "You have a terrible memory," or "You're always so dramatic. This isn't a one-time thing." It's a pattern. They will deny things they said, deny events that happened, and twist your words until you're left in a fog of confusion. It's a tactic designed to make you feel completely unmoored from reality. They'll tell you that you're too sensitive when you react to their hurtful behavior. They'll insist an event you remember clearly never happened. They'll rewrite history right in front of your eyes and expect you to accept their version as the gospel truth. This constant denial of your experience is incredibly damaging. It chips away at your self-confidence, making you second-guess every feeling and every memory you have. You start to feel isolated, because who can you talk to when you can't even trust your own judgment? The manipulator does this to avoid taking responsibility for their actions. If they can convince you that the problem isn't their behavior, but your perception of it, then they never have to apologize or change. They get to maintain control. It's a way of saying your feelings don't matter. My version of reality is the only one that counts. They are the author of the story, and you are just a character whose lines they get to write. This is psychological abuse, plain and simple. It's not just a communication issue. It's a deliberate strategy to undermine and control you. You might find yourself constantly apologizing, even when you're not sure what you did wrong. You might feel perpetually anxious, always on edge, waiting for the next reality check that you know you're going to fail. It's an exhausting and crazy-making experience. Recognizing it is the first, most critical step. When someone consistently denies your reality, contradicts your clear memories, and makes you feel like you're losing your grip, you need to wake up and smell the coffee. This isn't about you being crazy. This is about them being manipulative. You have to start trusting that little voice inside you that says, wait a minute, that's not how it happened. That voice is your anchor to reality. Hold on to it. Next up, we have a tactic that's as old as time itself: guilt tripping. This is the manipulator's go-to move for making you feel responsible for their emotions and their happiness. They essentially hand you the remote control to their feelings and then blame you for whatever channel it lands on. It's a powerful tool because most of us are good people who don't want to cause pain or disappointment to others. Manipulators know this, and they exploit that goodness for their own selfish gain. Here's how it works. A guilt trip puts you in an emotional bind. The manipulator presents their wants or needs in a way that implies if you don't comply, you are directly causing their suffering. They'll use phrases like, "Fine, don't worry about me, I'll just sit here by myself," or "I guess my happiness just isn't important to you." See what they're doing? They're not directly asking for what they want. They're wrapping it in a layer of passive-aggressive blame, making you feel like a bad person if you say no. Let's use an example. Imagine a friend asks you for a big favor, like helping them move on a Saturday, but you already have important plans you've been looking forward to. You politely decline and explain why. Instead of being understanding, the guilt tripper sighs heavily and says, "Oh, okay, I guess I'll just have to try and do it all by myself. It's just so much work, my back has been killing me, but don't worry about it. I'll manage somehow." Now, how do you feel? You feel guilty, you feel selfish. You start thinking, maybe my plans aren't that important. They really need me. If I don't help and they hurt their back, it'll be my fault. That's the trap. They've successfully shifted the responsibility for their problem onto your shoulders. They've made their well-being contingent on your actions, and it's a heavy weight to carry. This isn't a request anymore. It's an emotional demand. Think of it like an emotional gym. In a healthy relationship, everyone is responsible for lifting their own emotional weights. You manage your happiness, I manage mine. We can support each other, spot each other, but we don't lift the weight for them. A guilt tripper wants you to lift all their weights for them. They want you to be responsible for their happiness, their sadness, their disappointment. It's an exhausting workout, and you're the only one breaking a sweat. This tactic is particularly effective on people who are empathetic and conscientious. If you're a natural caregiver, you're prime-time material for a guilt tripper. They can sense that you have a deep-seated desire to please others and avoid conflict. They will use this against you time and time again, conditioning you to anticipate their needs and sacrifice your own, just to avoid that awful feeling of guilt. It's a cycle that can leave you feeling drained, resentful, and completely disconnected from your own wants and needs. The key to breaking free from this is to understand the difference between healthy responsibility and manipulated guilt. You are not responsible for another adult's happiness. Let me say that again. You are not responsible for how they feel. You are responsible for your actions and treating people with respect, but their emotional reactions are their own. It's okay to say no. It's okay to have boundaries. A healthy person will respect your no. A manipulator will punish you for it with guilt. When you feel that familiar pang of guilt, take a step back. Ask yourself, is this a reasonable request, or am I being emotionally blackmailed? Learn to recognize the language of guilt, the heavy sighs, the martyred tone, the passive-aggressive comments. When you see it, name it for what it is. You can say something like, "It sounds like you're trying to make me feel guilty. I've already told you my answer. Reclaim your emotional gym, lift your own weights, and let them lift theirs." Now let's talk about a tactic that feels wonderful at first, but has a very dark and dangerous side: love bombing. This isn't just someone being really into you at the beginning of a relationship. This is an overwhelming, over-the-top tsunami of affection, attention, and adoration that is designed to sweep you off your feet. It's an intense, accelerated campaign to win you over, but it's not genuine. It's a strategy with a hidden motive, to get you hooked and under their control. Think about it. You meet someone new, and within days, they're telling you you're their soulmate, the one they've been waiting for their whole life. They shower you with extravagant gifts. They're texting and calling you constantly. They want to know everything about you, and they want to be with you every single second. They put you on a pedestal so high you get dizzy. It feels incredible. Who doesn't want to be adored like that? You feel like you've won the lottery. But here's the catch. This intense affection isn't about you. It's about them. It's a tactic used to speed up intimacy and create a sense of obligation. They are creating a fantasy, a perfect relationship where you feel completely seen and cherished. They do this so that when their true colors start to show, you'll be less likely to leave. You'll remember that amazing honeymoon phase and think, but they can be so wonderful. Maybe I can get that back if I just try harder. It's like an emotional roller coaster. The love bombing is the slow, thrilling climb to the top. The view is amazing. The feeling is exhilarating. You're on top of the world. But what comes after the climb? The drop. Once the love bomber feels they have you secured, the affection may suddenly be withdrawn. The compliments stop. The gifts disappear. They might become critical, controlling, or distant. And you're left confused, trying desperately to get back to the top of that roller coaster. This creates a powerful and addictive dynamic. You become conditioned to seek their approval to get that high of the love bombing phase back. They now have the power to reward you with affection or punish you with its withdrawal. This is often a precursor to other forms of manipulation, like gaslighting and guilt tripping. Once they've built you up with love bombing, it's much easier for them to tear you down and make you doubt yourself. So what's the difference between genuine, enthusiastic love and love bombing? It's about the pace and the motive. Healthy love grows over time. It's built on mutual respect, shared experiences, and genuine understanding. It feels secure and steady. Love bombing feels rushed, intense, and almost theatrical. It often feels too good to be true because, frankly, it is. It's a performance designed to disarm you. Be wary of anyone who tries to lock you into a serious commitment almost immediately. Be cautious of constant, over-the-top compliments that feel generic rather than specific to you. If someone is trying to isolate you from your friends and family early on, telling you that all you need is them, that is a massive red flag. True affection doesn't need to be proven with a constant barrage of gifts and grand gestures. Trust your gut. If a new relationship feels like it's moving at warp speed and something feels slightly off or overwhelming, it's okay to put on the brakes. Slow things down. A person with genuine intentions will respect your need for space and time. A love bomber will likely get frustrated or angry, revealing their true motive, which is control, not love. Don't let the initial fireworks blind you to the potential explosion down the line. Finally, let's tackle one of the most frustrating and passive-aggressive tactics out there, the silent treatment. Don't mistake this for someone needing a little space to cool down after an argument. That's healthy. The silent treatment is not about taking a time out. It's a punitive, controlling behavior where a person deliberately withdraws all communication. They stop talking to you, ignore your texts, and act as if you don't even exist, to punish you and force you to bend to their will. It is a weapon of emotional warfare. The person giving the silent treatment is essentially putting you in solitary confinement. They are intentionally creating a painful void, a wall of silence that is deafening. They know that for most people, this withdrawal of connection is deeply unsettling and hurtful. It makes you feel invisible, unimportant, and powerless. And that's exactly the point. They want you to feel so uncomfortable that you'll do anything to make it stop. Let's paint a picture. You and your partner have a minor disagreement about what to have for dinner. You wanted Chinese, they wanted pizza. No big deal, right? Wrong. Suddenly, they shut down. They won't look at you. They give one-word answers to your questions. They walk around the house as if you're a ghost. You try to apologize, you try to talk it out, but you're met with a cold, impenetrable wall. The silence stretches on for hours, maybe even days. What happens to you in that time? You become consumed by it. You replay the pizza disagreement over and over in your head. You start to feel anxious, desperate. You're thinking, this is crazy, all this over pizza? But the silence is so punishing that you eventually break. You say, okay, you're right, let's get pizza. I'm so sorry. And just like that, the silence ends. They start talking to you again as if nothing happened. They got what they wanted. They won. Think of it like being unfriended or blocked on Facebook, but in real life. It's a social rejection, and it triggers a primal fear of abandonment in us. The manipulator is using this fear to control the situation. They are making it clear that their affection and attention are conditional. If you displease them, if you don't do what they want, they will withdraw it. It's a power play that forces you to be the one to always give in, to always apologize just to restore the peace. This is not a healthy way to resolve conflict. In fact, it's the opposite. It resolves nothing. It just sweeps the issue under the rug and builds resentment. Healthy relationships require communication, even when it's difficult. The silent treatment is a refusal to communicate. It's a way of saying, your thoughts and feelings are so irrelevant to me that I won't even acknowledge your existence until you conform to my wishes. This tactic is incredibly damaging to intimacy and trust. It creates an environment where you're constantly walking on eggshells, terrified of saying or doing the wrong thing that might trigger another bout of silence. You start to censor yourself, sacrificing your own needs and opinions to keep the peace. It's a lonely and isolating experience to be in a relationship with someone who uses silence as a weapon. If you find yourself on the receiving end of the silent treatment, do not play the game. Don't beg, don't plead, and don't grovel for their attention. That's the reaction they're looking for. Instead, you can calmly state your position. Say something like, "I can tell you're not ready to talk right now, and I'm not going to force you. But using silence to punish me is not okay. When you're ready to communicate respectfully, I'm here to listen. You are setting a boundary. You're refusing to be punished into submission." So, there you have it. Gaslighting, guilt-tripping, love-bombing, and the silent treatment. 4 common tactics that manipulators use to control and confuse you. These behaviors can be incredibly damaging, chipping away at your self-worth and turning relationships into a source of pain instead of support. But here's the good news. Knowledge is power. Recognizing these tactics is the first and most important step to protecting yourself. When you can name the game, you're no longer an unwitting player. You can see the moves for what they are. A desperate attempt to gain power, not a reflection of your worth. I want you to start trusting your gut. If a relationship consistently leaves you feeling confused, anxious, guilty, or emotionally exhausted, listen to that feeling. Your intuition is your internal alarm system, and it's trying to tell you something important. Don't let anyone, no matter how much you care about them, convince you that your feelings aren't valid. If you recognize these patterns in your own life, please know you're not alone, and it is not your fault. Reach out to a trusted friend, a family member, or a professional therapist. Getting an outside perspective can be a lifeline. Your emotional well-being is non-negotiable. You deserve relationships that are safe, respectful, and reciprocal. You have a right to your own reality, to your own feelings, and to say no without being punished for it. It all comes down to this. Stay aware, set boundaries, and remember, healthy relationships are built on respect, not manipulation. Thank you for watching, and take care of yourselves.